really slow to start. Really slow.
Good morning, and I'd like to declare the council meeting open. Welcome to councillors, youth councillors, staff and members of the gallery. Federation Council wishes to advise members of the public that council meetings will be recorded and be available after each meeting on the council's website. All care must be taken to maintain the privacy of those in attendance. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the public gallery, it is assumed your consent is given in the event your image is broadcast. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting today, the Bangarang people, and acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who now reside in this area. I extend that respect to elders, past, present of the Bangarang nations. Thank you. I'll now call for apologies.
All present.
All present.
We have the youth councillors.
We have the special attendees, Federation Youth Council, Youth Mayor Dylan Forge, Youth Councillors Noah Little and Caitlin Moore. Apologies from the Youth Council. We have some apologies from the Youth Council: Olivia Hughes, Liam Summons and Tyler Martin.
So just get a move.
Yes, would someone like to move those apologies, please? Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. All in favour? Against? Carried. Applications for leave of absence.
Nil.
Confirmation of minutes. Would someone like to move the minutes of the last meeting, please? Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Thomas. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, this recommended the minutes of the ordinary meeting.
Okay. So, disclosure of interest.
Yes, disclosure of interest. We have one disclosure, a couple of disclosures there.
I'll talk to those. Mr Mayor, Councillor Longley has declared a significant non-pecuniary interest in item 15.5 and Councillor Meagle has separately declared a significant non-pecuniary interest in the report 8.12, the New Year's Eve fireworks. So both those would be noted if we could, please. Mover and seconder, the note those?
Yes, moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Thomas. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. 8.11, Arts Committee.
Move to bring that forward.
Okay, there's a move to bring that forward. Could we have a move, please? Moved by Councillor Meagle, seconded by Councillor Law. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, would now like to get your report to that report.
We've prepared a report around council where we are completing a review of all of our Section 3.5 committees, and we've been working with the Federation Arts Committee. It's been a long-standing successful committee, primarily focused on running the Federation Arts Exhibition in January each year, and they've also been helping us to run the art space here. Consultation with the committee, would like to review the terms of reference for the committee and broaden the scope to be a committee focused on arts and cultural development for the whole council area. So, as council is aware, we have very limited capacity from a council perspective in this space, but it's certainly something that the committee are very focused on, and so we would like to, we're hoping to work closely with the committee to help us progress, one, to prioritise art initiatives, to raise funds and to seek grant funding, and certainly very importantly to work with Murray Arts, which council is a member of, financial member of Murray Arts, and so they are a great resource for us. We have a lot of interest at the moment, especially in terms of solo art, and there is a presentation happening today in relation to a desire to establish some in Corolla, but we also have groups in Rand and Urana wanting to establish some solo art. So I do see that as this committee would be something that we would refer initiatives that through to help us progress really important initiatives like that. And we would be obviously putting a call out to the whole community to be part of that committee. We would look to have an actual, a formal committee in place, but also seeking membership so that for those that don't want to attend meetings, they might like to volunteer for specific projects of special interest. So yeah, we'd like to welcome the Historical Society to make a presentation.
And it's an honour to have the first ex-mayor of the Corowa Council do so. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, councillors, members of staff and the public. I sat in the other chamber for 27 years. Why the heck am I so darn nervous about it? Mr. Mayor, as Christy has outlined, the reason for me addressing you on behalf of the Historical Society is to try and progress, particularly the silo art in the Corowa area, and certainly I'm pleased to hear that Rand and Urana might be looking at it too. The work so far that we've done is to look at 3 possible sites: the water towers in Tower Street, the chocolate and whisky factory, and the Hopefield silos. And of the 3, we've chosen the chocolate and whisky factory, whisky and chocolate factory, I'm not sure which way that goes, as being the most suitable. The water towers we discounted because of, whilst they're close, they're visible, there'd be a tremendous traffic hazard up there. It's a reasonably busy street, particularly at school times, and there's just nowhere to go for traffic that's viewing up there. A little bit the same with Hopefield. Hopefield are very big silos, and whilst there's opportunity to get off the road and into the silo complex, there's also, for people who are going past the first time, would probably pull up on the road, and there's really nowhere to get off there too. So we chose the chocolate and whisky factory. We've spoken with Dean Druce, principal. He knows what we're about, and he knows we're meeting with council today. And some of our members have looked at other sites, the Wimmera Mallee Trail and the Tungamoa, Devonish, Gurumbat silos, and of those we are most impressed with, or very impressed with Devonish. It's in bright, vibrant colours, stands out, and there's also a board beside it explaining the reason for them choosing the subject they have, and a little bit of a history of the silos and a history of the how it came to be implemented, including a extensive list of the sponsors, and also it's created a tremendous draw card for Devonish. I don't think I've spoken to anyone who's been there who hasn't seen people there at the time. And at one stage there was even a coffee truck pulling up there. But we recognise that we, the Historical Society, haven't got the resources, either in numbers of members or in finance, to carry out this project. And we realise that it does cost a significant amount of money. So we're asking council to lend its support by doing a public meeting to gauge the community support, and hopefully appoint a committee consisting of councillors and community members to progress this project. The only request that we would like to have considered is that in some of the art we depict some aspect of Corowa's historical role in Federation. I'm happy to try and answer any questions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Longwhite.
Keith, in regard to what you just mentioned, the connotation towards the history of the Federation because of Corowa input, I think, would that be a theme that you would really embrace on the artwork? Singularly, not...
It could be, but having said that, it's not the only aspect of Corowa. Like Tom Roberts, there's plenty there.
Yeah. people, good people sitting over here that could put it together very well. But I think if you're looking at something that is an admiration of Corowa itself, we've got the Federation Council, we've got the Federation Way. It's like going from here to Queensland, either on the Newell or down the Princes Highway. Plenty of museums, but they're all got farming equipment and the rest of it. But Corowa is so unique and so special. That'll be the connotation I would be looking for, you know, as a theme on the silo. Just a thought anyway.
We have briefly discussed whether we have the bridge on the stuffing at the bridge when we had to go over and pay a levy, or whether we have Sir John Swick and Sir Robert Garron or the first Prime Minister, and Corowa's conference was only 6.5 years before Federation came into being, so it really kick-started. But yeah, that would be for the committee to work out.
Councillor Meagle.
Thank you, Mr. Keith, with this project, are you looking solely at painted artwork, or are you looking at other mediums where you might be able to put on a display? And I think of the Vivid Festival where you could use lasers, and there's been examples in South Australia, in Karoonda, where they use lasers to light up their silos. Are we looking at the broad options, or just are you focusing predominantly on painted artwork at this stage?
Well, we've certainly only looked at painted artwork, Councillor Meagle, but we're certainly not against any other form of display that could be. Now, I don't know how laser work operates, but yeah, that's a possibility. And that's something for our challenge for the committee, if we get one called.
Councillor Whitchurch.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Keith, I actually, after Councillor Meagle mentioned the laser show, contacted the Karoonda Shire, and the driving force behind that was the Managing Director, or CEO of the Shire. He spoke at length, and he's more than happy to give all the information. Over the phone he told me that they put it on for a week with a laser show at night. The advantage of it was that people stayed in the town because it was on at dark, and then they had breakfast in the town in the morning and whatever. It cost them $90,000. They end up buying a machine, a laser machine, and they can change it monthly, and they can change it and have different themes, which was, I guess, what Councillor Meagle alluded to when he mentioned it to me. The show that they put on for 1 week over their festival was $120,000 for the week to get somebody in to do it. But that included choreographing and making the whole thing work with the music. But yeah, I certainly think, in light of your committee and what we're looking at, yeah, a nighttime one might complement an art thing that you could have daytime tour and then culminate at night.
Excellent. Keith, you'd be certainly used to these hands going up for question time, so you're right to go on. Councillor Thomas.
I'm in your hands.
You're fine. Councillor Thomas.
This is probably more directed at Kate. When we pulled together the terms of reference for this wonderful new committee, which I fully endorse, I think this is really exciting because I actually know of other particular committees within our federation, especially the cross-border one at Yarrawonga Mawela. They're really keen to do some silo art down that way. So will you be basing the terms of reference on the public art strategy that we endorsed with council a couple of months ago?
Yeah, I would certainly be informed based on that. And yeah, as mentioned, so the purpose of this committee wouldn't be not proposing for it to be just for silo art. It would have a broad scope because part of its role would be to work out the key priorities for the region in terms of those projects that we need to progress, and then we would need to work with Moriart to really have a strong influence in terms of what is funded to give them those priorities for the region. So yeah, definitely.
Councillor Wales.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, well done, Keith. It's very striking, this silo art. What strikes me very good on silo art is actual individuals like Stockman and Nurse and Diggers. That's a good one. I know Federation is a good thing, but that's a very good striking, sort of gets us straight away. I'd like to see a big picture of a nurse or a digger or a Stockman or a whip. But well done. It's really good. Thank you.
Which is the theme at Devonix too, I think. Yeah, really. Any further Councillor Long?
Keith, any indication of money or the volumes of money you're after, or the buckets of it?
No, we haven't gone into that. It's not cheap, but no, we haven't gone into it. There's some of the problems that the previous committee seemed to run into is is attracting the right artists. The Wimmera Mallee solos have all been done by different artists. I don't know what the reason for that is. Devonish, I think, was done by another different artist. There is a history which we have of Devonish as an artist. Mr. Mayor, could I just reverse and ask Councillor Whitechurch a question?
Absolutely.
Are those the lines of
Without notice.
Are you happy to take that on board, Councillor
I'll win
Whitechurch?
it, Keith, I'll win it.
The laser beam, are they movable?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's basically a machine, and the bigger the machine, obviously the bigger the throw, and the ones that they've got at the Vivid Festival in Sydney are quite big. But you can have ones that are quite small. You've seen people got them on their houses now. But, you know, Christmas lights are a dying thing. They've now got laser in their backyard, and they're a little device that just plugs in on solar. The one that they've got over there is probably twice the size of a Coke box, so probably something like this, and it shoots the whole solos, and they can program it via a laptop, and it put music to it. It was really worth speaking to the guy, and if this committee was to move forward, I'd be suggesting that either making contact with him or whatever, but he was very, very helpful and would be more than helpful in this.
So you could use it in Coral and then take it to Oakland, say?
Yeah, that's right. It's quite portable. I mean, there'd be a little bit of setting up, obviously, to get it tuned in, which would be a night or two before, but I've had a look at their webpage and of that festival at Karoonda, and it was amazing. And I went to one of their festivals, mainly because of that laser show.
One of the issues over in the Wimmera Mallee is that the artists has encouraged community groups to do smaller versions. For example, in one town, I forget which one it is, there's a school that's painted a brick wall, and another one, the Lions Club, has painted something, a smaller, very small view.
Yeah. What a great idea, the portability though, to be able to move it around to different venues. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Well, any further questions, councillors? If not, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you, Keith, and Historical Society. I think it's a fantastic initiative, and a great one that everyone will benefit a lot out of, I'm sure. So I'd like you, us all, to put our hands together for Keith.
Thank you very much for accepting. It sounds like you might be the first chairman. Thank you to yourself and staff for accepting it.
Councillor Whitechurch had a lot of information over there.
Recommendation.
Yes.
To adopt that one of Christie's.
Okay, there's a recommendation there, councillors, that the terms of reference of the Federation Arts and Cultural Development Committee be developed, and that membership drive occur to form a new committee. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Thomas. All in favour? Against? Carried. Very successful, okay? Okay, now we'll move on to item 7, the General Manager's Report.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Report 7.1 is council meeting schedule for 2019, so there is an attachment there with the next year's proposed venue for the council meetings. So the one change, I guess, to this year would be that there's 3 meetings to be proposed to be held at the Arena Chambers, being April, August and November. So that recommendation is it.
I move that recommendation, councillors. Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Thomas. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Report 7.2 is titled the Corra-Murray River Foreshore Redevelopment. It's a structure plan recommendation. The recommendation is there at the back, but essentially the report is urging or recommending council commit to a structure plan and a strong community engagement project around that to develop or further inform the developments that are occurring right across the Murray River foreshore along the Corra precinct here, from the football ground right through to Rowers and around through the caravan park and including around this building. So there's a wealth of projects underway. It's not intended in any way to hold up any of the current projects that are right front and centre, like our swimming pool development and other funding we've had for facilities, but it certainly can be done in parallel and then inform, I think, some future projects and looking through the caravan park area especially and the lagoon area. So I just wanted to highlight that for council and the recommendations there before you.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Longley. All in favour?
Could I speak this meeting?
Yes, could course.
Just in support of the opportunity, I did mention at the workshop in regard to perhaps a proposal for a group of all the sporting entities, all the persons that are occupying in the ballpark precinct come together as a committee with an individual representing each committee and perhaps a councillor or whatever, hopefully as an observer, and that could go forward, and so helping one another in all the opportunities for funding and the rest of it.
Yep. Great idea. Great idea. Any further questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put it all in favour.
Aye.
Against, carried.
Report 7.3 is Lake Urena Precinct. This report goes further on from the November 2018 council meeting where council resolved to support the Lake Urena District Concept Plan. So essentially this report outlined since that time the council have been successful in an EOI process to go forward, if agreeable, to a full grant application to the New South Wales Government for funding under the Environmental and Tourism stream of the Regional Growth Funds for New South Wales Government. So the report there before the council, there's a number of important projects that are outlined in there. The biggest factor in all that is the contribution that the council would be seeking to provide. So the report outlines that since the report was written even, we have got an extension on the application. All successful EOIs have been now allowed to have till the end of January to submit the full application. So the recommendation is there now to note the report and to submit a full application on that project and receive a further report at the February 2019 council meeting.
Could I move, please, Councillor? Moved by Councillor Whitechurch, second by Councillor Meagle.
Right.
Questions or comments? Thank you, Councillor Meagle.
Mr Mayor, I think that in support of this motion, I believe that this project has the potential to be a game changer for the Urena region. It's a significant project. It covers a whole heap of different elements, and really from an economic development point of view, it should not be underestimated. However, on the downside is the contribution the council is required to make in order for this project to proceed, given our long-term financial plan, which I understand is being reviewed, Mr General Manager.
Yes.
And I would very much like to see a full business case for this in terms of the commitment to council. I really support the project. However, what we can't afford to do is put a millstone around our neck for us and for future councils from a financial perspective. And so that I just wanted to really make that comment that whilst it is a tremendous project, we've just got to be very, very careful in terms of the work we do on our financial plan and look for all avenues that we can to get non-state government funding in order for it to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, in moving that recommendation, I just did a fair bit of background on what has been leading into this from back in the pre-merger days of Urena Shire. As Councillor Meagle suggested, the $2 million investment that Council is going to have to make is effectively going to generate a $9 million grant, should we be successful or in total. I agree with Councillor Meagle in the fact that Urena's only going to have one hope at getting this sort of project off the ground. As Urena Shire, and correct me if I'm wrong, would never have probably had the magnitude or the funds to get this sort of thing happening. I believe if we don't have a go at this grant and we don't commit to at least putting up the 25%, Urena will probably never get an opportunity like this again. Or if they do, it certainly won't be in the very near future. My understanding is that the grant can obviously be knocked back, and if we do receive the money for the grant, we can then revisit as to whether we're going to go ahead with it. So, in light of Councillor Meagle's business plan and business case, I totally agree. We've got to be diligent in that respect, but I can only support the fact that we're never going to be able to invest $2 million to get $9 million that's then going to be a return for the socio-economic structure for the whole Urena and the Federation Shire, and I guess that's what we're about as part of the merger. So I support the board.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas.
I'd just like to highlight seven projects that is listed in this recommendation. You know, they'll create really vital linkages to the Urena community and beyond, which is really exciting. And these are going to especially highlight the significant distribution of both our Indigenous population and our wider Australian history. Bringing them both together, I think that's an exciting concept in itself. So hence I really do endorse what you're moving forward with. And also I'd like to say let's bring on the Lake Urena women.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Moore.
I agree that it would certainly be something great for Urana, but this is not in our strategic plan. We can't take everything that pops up and say, yes, we can go ahead with this. We have to find that $2.25 million. Now, our financial plan is being looked at for a reason, because we're not flush with money, and we need to be very, very careful what we do. 2.5 or 2.25 million is not a drop in the bucket. It's not just a little bit of money, and we've got a future of the whole of Federation Council to think about, not just one section.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Longley.
Yeah, I support the concept of proceeding evaluating this project. I think it's certainly vitally important for Urana, but I think it's vitally important for the whole of Federation Council, because it covers a big area. It's going to draw tourism or tourists from all sorts of parts of Australia. I think Coral would benefit from accommodation, and other communities in the Federation Council could also benefit. So I'd certainly support that we proceed along the lines of the motion there, and we can always pull the pin, as Councillor Whitechurch said later on, if the 2.2 becomes too big a step for us.
And thanks, Councillor Longley, for raising that point. I think that the point there is that it's not about Urana. The asset is located near Urana. It's about an asset for the whole of Federation Council, but I think state significant as well. Thank you. Any other further comments, questions? Councillor Kendi.
Yeah, I'm actually will support this as well. I actually drove out past the lake there on last Tuesday and pulled up and had a very good look, and you know, it's all fenced off now, but mate, it looks from the up on the rise there on the bed of Berwick internalities there, it looks down on the Lake Urana, like, and I had my young son with me, and he said, where'd that lake come from? You know, people don't know about it, so it's a good way of putting it out there. Like, it's, as I said, it's the biggest natural water formation between the Murrumbidgee and the Murray River, so it's something that we need to get out there and get people to go and look at it. So I'll fully support this.
Any Councillor Wales?
I just want to say this, Mayor, where there is water, there is a chance something can happen, so I support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Wales. Any further comments, councillors? Councillor Longley.
Just got a little bit of interpretation about the money, you know, Mr. Parker, that's the key to it, you know, we've got a spirit about it, which is all commendable, but at 2.25, Mr. Parker, can we get that money?
I'll probably better take that question. Thanks, Councillor Longmire. I think there's been some really good comments made on the debate. The essential thing I'd be looking towards, I mean, every year the council have to review our long-term financial plan. There's no question of that. That's just a rolling plan that we have to review. I've highlighted in there, but we're not fully committed. But there's further funding coming from the state government. That's known. We've put our wish list forward, but we haven't got that money as yet. We're unsure of the timing, but we're very, very certain of that. That will make a huge difference to our long-term financial plan commitment. There's a couple of reports even at this council meeting, like the Mulwala Industrial Estate, that weren't known, the exact figures weren't known at the start of the long-term financial plan for this year we're in. So we are in an environment where the long-term financial plan is like any council. I would have thought where state government particularly are flush with money, and they are urging councils, not recklessly, but they're urging councils to put forward bigger ticket item projects that would never probably see the light of day other than in the environment that the state government's in at the moment. So I'd just urge the council to consider the application at least, and part of the issue I guess we are in the time frame is the fact that the EOI process was even called very quickly, closed very quickly. Projects across the state have been put forward to the next round, but they are needing a full business case, and that's some of the concerns valid coming through, that the councillors need to see the business case, etc. We're closing the application, or the government is obviously by the end of January. We've got to commit, if we go forward with it, to do a lot of work through January, not only on financials but on tourism data, on a whole host of other things that the government, they don't just hand out 7 million either, or it's not a drop in the ocean for them in a community of the Federation Council size. So there's a fair bit of, not pouring cold water on it, but there's a fair bit of work to be done even to get an application in, let alone to even win the application and then put that into your long-term financial plan, taking into account future funding that does come through, and knowing some of the other reports we've got coming through as well. So yeah, I understand council are in a position where there's a lot of balls up in the air, I guess, in terms of our funding that's been thrown around and offered, and it goes nowhere towards solving all councils' long-term financial issues with operating income. We always know we need a bigger share of the federal government's GST. We need probably a bigger share of roads to recovery. We need all those what I'd call boring things that the government don't like funding because it just goes on bitumen and culverts. That's the stuff that will make this council go forward like others in terms of their bottom line each time. But yeah, you are in a situation where you've been presented with projects that the government have got an appetite to fund because they make news, and obviously it's a significant project. It's ticked a lot of boxes from the state government's point of view because they don't see the scale of projects often around, but I fully appreciate the aspects with the long-term financial plan, but yeah, that's just got to be presented as it comes, and we have scenarios within those plans that take us forward. So.
Thank you. And I think, you know, it's good that council are on board, that it's, you know, the finances that are attached to many projects that we're looking at. We are in a phase of a lot of expenditure, but we are also in a phase of a lot of change. We've undergone a merger. The state government's committed to and put it in our laps to make a difference to all these communities, to make them viable into the future, to bring people into our regions. And in all my time in council, Urannah Shire Council and Cora, I've never seen a time like this and may never again. So it's also an opportunity to go forward and prepare ourselves for the future. So exciting times, but yeah, there's a lot of balls in there, and we have to look at each situation on its merits. Councillor Law.
Currently, being a successfully merged council, we're having money thrown at us hand over fist. And all these projects we're taking are going to require maintenance in the future, this one included. And my concern is more the maintenance of these things that we're building, we're doing. It's an ongoing cost forever, and we have to look at that. I will be voting against it.
If I could, Councillor Longley.
I understand what Councillor Law's saying, but with a correct business plan would identify all those costs, income and expenses, and then once we've got that, then we can understand what's going to happen and make a decision then. But at the moment we have no idea, so we can't say yay or nay as far as that's concerned.
And along with that comment, I would like to add that it's a little bit unique, this project, in that it's more about land acquisition, property, roads, non-depreciating assets, so the level of maintenance is far less than a lot of other items. Anything further, councillors? Well, if not, I'll put it. Okay, all in favour of the recommendation? Against? Carried. Thank you.
7.4, Mr Mayor, just a report outlining the public speakers. We've obviously had Keith Barber present on the silo art, and at 10:30 we'll be asking Dylan Forge, our youth mayor, accompanied by his fellow youth councillors that are here with us, to present on their progress and their future planning. So that's just for note.
Excellent. Okay, we'll now move on to item 8, Director of Corporate and Community Services report. Thanks, Chrissy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. 8.1 is a recommendation to allow our Australia Day panel to have the delegation to appoint the Australia Day Awards for this year, which will obviously be presented and not announced until Australia Day. And the celebrations this year are going to be fantastic in Malala.
Excellent. There's a recommendation there, councillors. Moved by Councillor Thomas, seconded by Councillor Wales. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Oh, so I'm sorry, Councillor Thomas, it's not too late if you'd like to make a comment.
I just really wanted to say that I've loved being part of the process. It's actually a more trickier process, if I can use that word, than anticipated, especially when you're, you know, making decisions and using the matrix. And you know, I would like to congratulate Jenny Bevis on her professionalism and how she's walked us through the process, which is really good. And in terms of the stakeholder engagement at Malala, it's all coming together beautifully. So, it's really fun.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Thanks, Christy.
Thank you. 8.2 is a really important initiative which has been established in partnership with Ability Links, Interreach and the Federation Council Disability Access Inclusion Committee.
Yep.
And they will be rolling out a program to support business in the Federation Council area to be more accessible. And we are, I've recommended that we reserve a small amount of money, $2,500, from the Community Grants Program to focus on delivering some of those initiatives that are identified from the audit that the working group will complete of businesses.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Longley. Any questions or comments? Councillor Longley.
I'm a member of that committee, and I congratulate, not memory bank, Amber. Amber, yeah, that's it. Great memory, isn't it? Amber Harvey, she's doing a fantastic job. But one of the things that I did mention to them is that I think the program they're running out is for businesses. Part of the problem is you've got to get people from accessing from the roads to the business. We don't have suitable access at gutters and street crossings and proper parking facilities for handicapped people. And I noticed that particularly in Howlong, there's a real issue over there. I think RMS are part of the problem. But I did suggest that Amber run this past the engineering group. They're the people out there making the decisions to build roads, gutters, all the other accessible things that, and they may not be aware of what the current rules are. I mean, things like handicapped butlers, handicapped barbecues, all those sort of things that are now common. And I suggest that Amber runs that out with Mr. Carmichael's lot, so they can all understand what's happening in the real world. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Longley. Any further questions or comments?
I'd also like to commend this program as one of the Ageing Well ambassadors and on that committee. It's part of our ageing community, and I know through experience when we put in a handicap car park a few years ago, they were going to make it angle parked, and I said, look, I'm sorry, at the time my mum was in a wheelchair and she got in the back of her truck, not the side. And so they made it a parallel park so that she didn't have to back out onto the road and get run over. So there's a lot of things to think about with these handicap things, and I may say that this is a really good program.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, I'll put the recommendation. All in favour? Against? Carried.
Thank you. 8.3 is a summary of the really wonderful activities the Youth Council have been achieving, and won't talk to that because we're going to have a much more interesting presentation at 10:30 from the Youth Council and the Mayor, Dylan. So we might just wait for that at 10:30.
Yeah.
Just continue.
Would you like to... Sorry, would you like to move this?
We can break now and do the presentation, but we schedule it for 10:30.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that okay?
If that's okay by the Youth Council, yeah. No, it's fine, Chrissy.
Yeah.
So what do you want to recommend?
So we'll just we'll come back to it following the presentation. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Great. The financial assistance policy is a new policy we have completed to summarise really the available financial assistance and processes that we have at Council for applying for funds. Most of these are existing programs. There is a new avenue that has been recommended as part of that, which is to guide groups, non-profit groups, when they're applying for, which will allow them to apply for a partial refund of development application fees, which would still need to come through the community grants process, but we will have established a process for that. So recommending that Council adopt that policy, but for public exhibition.
Okay, moved by Councillor Whitchurch, seconded by Councillor Thomas. Any questions or comments? None, I'll put it. All in favour? Against? Carried.
And 8.5 is a summary of the revised Government Access Information Guide, which we are required to have. This is really focused on ensuring that, the public authority, we are being very proactive in ensuring that we are releasing, being very transparent and releasing our records, but obviously also we need to take into account privacy, and so there's it explains the process around what people can have just at request versus what might need to be a formal HIPAA application. So recommending that we adopt the revised Government Agency Information Guideline. We are and have already submitted this as draft to the Information Privacy Commissioner, which we're required to do under regulation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have a move, please. Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Meagle. Any questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put it. Councillor Lord,
No,
did you
I'm in favour. Right.
all in favour?
Jumping ahead of you.
Against? Carried.
8.6 is a summary of Aboriginal current Aboriginal land claims we have been notified of. There were two properties which are of particular interest to in the care and control of council, one being where we have some graves. We're not managing it as a public cemetery, but there are graves at that location, and also a rural fire shed, which is certainly had to note our interest in that land claim. So that is the council's information, and to note that we've lodged our interest in respect to those two claims under our care and control.
Excellent. Moved by Councillor Meagle, seconded by Councillor Law. Any questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour? Against? Carried.
7 is a summary of the work we are about to commence on our developing a new destination website. My Regional Tourism platform are going to be launching a new regional platform. There's a summary there of the councils that at this stage are looking to be part of that, and some that are not. We have a lot of strategic work that we need to do before we complete this project. I've highlighted in the report at the moment, in Yarrawonga Whaler we have a number of websites that are destination websites, and as council knows, we all have limited resources in terms of and funding in terms of what we're doing to promote the region, and so we need to make sure that we're being very strategic and clear on what is the destination website, who's maintaining it, to make sure that it's really obviously of very compelling and quality, and that we're effectively not competing with ourselves. So that's really important to restore. So an important project there that we're recommending that we do commit to the regional platform.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Thomas. Any questions or comments, Councillor Thomas?
I have two, and I just noticed there was an acronym, SEO. It says this negatively affects the CEO of the tourism product in relation to Mwela being on for.
So
what's the CEO?
Means like the search engine, so the reach of the website. So the impact by having 4 or 5 destination websites, it means that you've got you don't have anyone really leading, so you're impacting the success of all of those websites by not being clear on what is the destination.
SEO stands for
search engine optimization.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that.
Sorry about that.
It's in the report.
Yes. And also, then I went on to read in the business paper about the Rome, like having a Murray Rome, and I actually think that's a great idea, because then it will actually can create very much consistent information going out to both our visitors and our locals. So that consistency is going to be very important if we can adopt the Murray Rome. So all good.
Thank you. Councillor Wall.
Murray Regional Tourism is a very professional organisation. They do a good job. I went down to Echuca a few weeks ago to their annual general meeting, and look, they're working very hard to keep the whole of the Murray in the eye of the rest of Australia. And anything we can do in support, I fully agree with, and this can only help Federation Council as well.
Thank you. Any further comments, councillors? No, I'll put it. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried.
Thank you. 8.8 is a summary of our activity for the Federation Council Mobile Preschool, which is a very important service to the community. It has grown, which we're obviously very pleased about, and we're well underway with our planning with a good level of enrolment for next year, and we're expecting that will increase throughout the year, as it has done this year. I guess the key to this report is noting some of the challenges that we have to plan for as part of the service. Being predominantly funding, we are expecting a shortfall in budget. Council has, up until this point, been trying to maintain the service within the funding that we receive from the Department of Education. That really is no longer possible, particularly because we're up against the new national quality standards, which we'll be implementing in 2019, which are setting a much greater burden in terms of administration and certainly the requirements on our venues. And I shouldn't say burden, obviously it's about running a quality service, so it's a good thing, but in terms of running on a shoestring in a rural and remote area, with the very limited staffing that we have and the challenging logistics that we have in terms of reaching our communities, in terms of staffing, this is we're very lucky to have a team of fantastic preschool educators, and that's it's just recruitment of staff in this space in this region is a key challenge. So I am proposing that we need to continue to discuss this issue with the state government. We need to work with our association. It's an ongoing issue. We did receive some good news yesterday. We applied for a grant through the state government for a trailer and a show sale at the Borey Creek Hall, which was a new venue we set up just this year, a new stand pit and a new mobile play wall. So we're a bit excited about that. That was $12,000, and every little bit really helps with this service. So, but we really need to continue to advocate for the needs of this service. We were obviously very disappointed just recently to have a very minor, $3,000 grant received for the drought program that was being provided to preschools. All of our preschoolers are from families that are obviously in the thick of being impacted by drought, and it just didn't seem to be a very equitable distribution when we saw the funding that was being allocated to preschools in regional cities. So recommendation there.
Thank you. I've got a move of Councillor Meagle, secondly Councillor Law. Questions? Councillor Meagle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After recent discussions in this chamber about how flush the state government is with money and all the benefits that we're getting, I find it counterintuitive that they are not willing to fund the basic things like education, and it's very, very frustrating that we appear to be penalised for succeeding, and we are growing our numbers, the service is being utilised, yet we're being asked to do so with less funding. So I fully support the advocacy for a better slice, as the General Manager alluded to, of some of the boring things from the state government perspective, but so critical for our regional communities and our rural communities to have access to education via the preschool thing. It's great to see that the service is being supported and it's growing, as long as we can convince the state government that it also needs their share of the pie to come forward as well. Thank you.
Councillor Law.
When you look at the map of the councils throughout New South Wales, Federation Council in our area is one of the largest councils, possibly with the least number of ratepayers. We have the three main towns across the southern border, and to the north are a lot of small villages. They need the mobile library, they need the mobile kindergarten, and these are things that should be available to these people. When I was up at the conference, I went through some of the mobile libraries, and the little Aboriginal books for the Aboriginal kids were beautiful. I would have loved to have tucked a couple under my arm and brought them home with me. But it's something that we need. It's an obligation to the state to provide these things for the people in the rural outlying areas.
And as well as the people such as Mrs. Chandler and those who have done so much work in building the numbers, they've done an amazing job just to be able to support them financially to build their services would be fantastic. So if there's no further questions or comments, councillors, I'll put it. All in favour? Against? Carried.
Thank you. 8.9 is the Baby Boomers Bus About, which is a very exciting event that Council holds with our Ageing Well Committee. They're helping us to organise that this year, and it runs for the week during as part of the Seniors Festival. So it's action-packed, and there's a summary of the activities there. We always gain really strong participation. It usually sells out fairly well. It's obviously a free event, but the bookings are all booked out very quickly. So yeah, congratulations to the Ageing Well Committee, and obviously our community development team leader Amber in organising that.
Excellent, thank you. I've got a mover, Councillor Whitechurch, and a second, Councillor Thomas. Any questions or comments, councillors? Councillor Thomas.
Oh, no, I've had a bit of feedback from the Morwell community. They're actually really looking forward to hosting the expo, especially through the some of our Ageing Well ambassadors down there. I think it's a pretty exciting opportunity. And I'd just really like to flag that Councillor Wales and I attended the Morning Melodies last year, and it was a great event. Wasn't it? Em was laughing. She was we had a glorious time. So if any of my fellow councillors can attend a similar event in Corowa, I highly recommend it.
Thank you. Any further questions of Councillor Wales?
I agree, it's very good going down there, but a bit tiring. I believe the bus is very good, that the Mayor doing a good job as a guide, so they're very good to see you, very good.
Good stuff. Thank you. If there's nothing further, I'll put it all in favour. Against? Carried.
That's fantastic. I did hear all about the very active participation from our councillors last year, so we really look forward to that again. 8.10 is a summary of some very minor changes that we're making to our office hours, mainly the changes to the Mooallan office hours. We're wanting to have our Mooallan and Howlong office hours for the library and the council office at a consistent time. And we've tried to obviously keep that within our existing staffing budget, but also ensure that we've got the best, we're open at the most suitable times based on the patrons, that are using our services, so that'll allow that extra day, or half a day in Mooallan.
Excellent. Would someone like to move that recommendation? Moved by Councillor Thomas, seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Questions or comments? Councillor Thomas, was that a comment? If not, I'll put it...
No, it's okay. It's all fine.
It's okay?
It's very good. Yeah, it's fine.
I'll put it all in favour. Against? Carried.
And fireworks. So there's an addendum report that was issued in relation to the Rotary Club application for fireworks at RSL Park. So that report is fairly self-explanatory, but we have, as the report explains, completed some consultation, and there's a summary of the objections in that, the reporting objections received, and a summary of the key issues that have been noted as part of those objections. Obviously, a lot of the discussion, and certainly there was a discussion on social media around really the general view of the community preferring to have the venue, back in Rowers Park, as it had been in years gone by. The Rotary Club had, decided to run the fireworks at RSL Park for a few reasons. One, so that it is very central to the whole of the town, and two, a big consideration was because of the available funding that they had. They're very lucky to receive some sponsorship, generous sponsorship from Riverlea and the RSL Park, and the venue of RSL Park is a much more cost-effective venue because they don't need effectively Rose Park, the fireworks need to go a lot higher in the air than they do at RSL Park. So it's the focus of the event that they're proposing is going to be on the 9:30 show. So they've having a smaller show at 12:30 and very focused on the family show at 9:30. It's going to be, you're hearing it's going to be a really spectacular show of fireworks at 9:30, which will go up to about 12 minutes. We have, so recommending, effectively, if council, whilst there have been some objections, if council don't support the application, the fireworks won't continue. There will be no fireworks this year, is the feedback that we've had from the Rotary Club. It's too late to relocate them, and obviously they don't have the funding to do it. So we have recommended that we support the application, but we have, there is a list of conditions that we will work with the Rotary Club to ensure that those conditions are met, to limit the impact of the issues that have been raised through the objection process. But I said in closing, obviously it's I'd like to just recognise that the Rotary Club are it's all being done on a voluntary basis, and congratulate everyone for all their work towards making sure that there's a really wonderful event in Corowa at New Year's Eve.
Thank you, Christy. Do I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Longley. Questions or comments, councillors? Councillor Whitechurch.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to obviously support the New Year's Eve fireworks. I guess it's a little bit disappointing that the Rotary have gone and bought the fireworks to suit the venue and then applied for the application to host that venue and the fireworks. Because of funding, they haven't now got enough money. I'd certainly like to be supporting that the New Year's Eve continues, but in light of all the objections, and I've been banging this for a long time, Rose Park is the place to have the fireworks. I'd be suggesting that in the New Year Council look to coordinate with Rotary and the sponsors, be it the RSL and Riverlea and whoever else comes on board, but including council, put money to that event and get it back to Rose Park, where it attracted 5,000 people, was iconic, because it's not going to survive the way it is. And a 9:30 show on New Year's Eve, which is great for the kids, is probably something they should have on Australia Day. The New Year's Eve was all about the fireworks. My Wales Ski Club have fireworks every third weekend and every time there's a public holiday. I support the thing, but I think we really need to look at going back to the river.
Thank you, Councillor Whitechurch. Councillor Law.
I'd just like to support that we support this fireworks. Admittedly, there has been some very fancy ones on the bridge and everywhere else, but it's all down to money. Having been council's delegates for the last year or two on the Federation Festival Committee, I know how much the fireworks lost over the years that they were on. This way through Rotary, they are working very hard to make it cost effective, that it doesn't cost the ratepayers, it doesn't cost the people. We put out our buckets, we call for donations. The 9:30 people are lovely because they enjoy it. The midnight people are usually well and truly on their way to celebrating the new year in. I think some of them might start about 3 in the afternoon actually, and they are very rude, abusive, abrupt and almost assaulting. And so for me, I'm happy to have it up there. It's a bigger area and it will be much more friendly, family friendly, and if the people at the ballpark can't walk to the RSL to see them, then that's their hard luck.
Any further comments, Councillor Longley?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I understand the reason why it's basically moved there is because one of their major sponsors withdrew. So that punched a big hole in their funding. They ended up with not enough money to buy sufficient powerful rockets and so forth to fire over the trees down here. They can't see them. It would have been a total disaster. More open area up near RSL Park where it can be seen, where the trees aren't an issue, and it's also right next door to one of the major sponsors, so I support it there.
Any further comments, councillors? Councillor Whitechurch.
I guess not comment on a motion, but in reply to Councillor Law, with the New Year's Eve, the event attracted people to the tune of 5,000 plus down there, and it was growing, which Ms Kay will identify. to the point was how was it going to be controlled to the size it was getting. The fact that they're intoxicated at midnight, it's New Year's Eve, it's going to happen, it's Australia Day, they're going to celebrate, we're Australian. But to put something on that was iconic and attracting people, to now put what's going to be a little more than a sparkler show at midnight, it's disappointing to go from something that was building and huge down to something that's now meeting a budget because of its decline. And that's what we're doing, we're meeting the expenditure because of the decline in attraction. So.
Councillor Longley?
Yeah. Rotary is a voluntary organisation who are doing their best, I think, to try and put on a show with the money that they've got available. And I think it's pretty hard that we attack them. If they haven't got the money, that's the best they can do. Now, if we want to get behind them, that's fine, but we haven't got behind them, and I think it's pretty hard that we attack Rotary.
Councillors, I think at this point, the point has been made that it is where it is this year. Next year's a new year. Committees can be involved, whether it be council, Rotary, other organisations, to decide on its future. So, you know, and I think that's a good idea. If there's more input and more opportunity to build funds for it and have a new look at old situations, new situations or whatever. But where we're at the moment is probably not going forward anymore because, okay, the motion's been moved to have it there. I think next year's a new ball game, and those committees will decide then, with the arguments put forward, where the best place is. So, do we need any further comments, Councillor Wales? You haven't commented yet.
I'd just like to say, Mr. I fully support Councillor Whitechurch's desire to try and get them back on the bridge as I was part of that operation there, but it certainly was iconic. 19 there, 5,000 people there, fireworks on the bridge, the waterfall, and there wasn't that much trouble, it was just good fun. We've got to try and sort of get that thing back again for that.
And that opportunity is going to happen for everyone to either get it back to the bridge or to have it wherever. I mean, that's for the next year and the next exciting committee, whether it be through Rotary or whoever, to take it on. Councillor Lauren, I think we're nearly exhausted this conversation.
There was one year there was no fireworks, and there was hue and cry from the people of Corowa wanting fireworks again. That's why Rotary decided to take it on. It's for the locals. The visitors can enjoy it, but it is basically for the locals. And as for council being involved, yes, they can be involved, but be very careful because the ratepayers of Urannah, Oakland, Mulwala and Howlong won't want their rates paying for fireworks for Corowa.
No, maybe, but I'm sure that those ratepayers would support Corowa and any great event that's happening within that Federation Shire Council circle. So I think we'll move on, councillors. We've had enough conversation about this. The future will decide what happens. So I'll now put it all in favour. Against carried. Thank you.
Let's get Paul back. And we'll do our heading and managers. Introduce the youth council, Dylan and the youth council.
Oh, sorry. Okay, councillors, we're just moving back to item number 8.11, isn't it?
No, we've got
8.3.
Goes back a bit further. 8.3. 8.3 Federation Youth Council.
Federation Youth Council.
Yep, so invite Dylan Ford, our junior mayor.
We'd just like to invite our junior mayor, Dylan Ford. Welcome, Dylan. And councillors.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, members of the gallery. I am Youth Mayor Dylan Ford and I'm accompanied by Youth Councillors Noah Liz and Caitlin Moyer. And today we'll be presenting a presentation on our progress this year and future planning for next year. The Federation Youth Council is made up of 6 young members, myself as Youth Mayor, Olivia Hughes as our Deputy Mayor, Tyler Martin, Liam Summons, Noah Little and Caitlin Moyer.
Oh, beautiful.
And unfortunately, Olivia, Tyler and Liam couldn't make it today. So. Our meetings are held every month. Our first meeting was in April this year. We are bound by the Federation Youth Council Charter, and we conduct meetings in accordance with the Code of Meeting Practice for the Federation Council. The minutes of our meetings are also available on Council's website. During our first meeting back in April, we conducted a SWOT analysis of the needs of youth in our council. This SWOT analysis was based on the initiatives, has been the basis of our initiatives for the last 12 months. Now, it was our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities and our threats. And for our opportunities, we listed quite a few things that we believe were things we could build on to help youth throughout our shire, like hangout spaces and youth cafes with free Wi-Fi, spaces for interaction where we could engage with resources across the community, through a multi-purpose building, an app to connect youth, social media page for the Youth Council, events-focused events for youth and activities. For our skate park, we would like a youth space, a gathering space to be included there, and that's also the same for our pool. And an introduction for new sports like soccer and basketball, and to make a multi-purpose field. We'd like to build connections with schools and other groups within our community. Table tennis and / a ping pong table, we've been looking into that. Outdoor gym equipment, such as the ones in Wodonga, would be a good inclusion, we believe. And yeah, a youth Facebook page which will be able to list the events and activities we're doing and just engage the youth a little better. The youth councillors, we've been providing feedback to the council over the last 8 months, including feedback through the community strategic plan and retaining youth in the LGA. And youth councillors are representatives on the skate park steering committee and the pool steering committee. In November, the Federation Youth Council ran Flicks in the Sticks, which was a drought relief movie night in Oakland. This was a great experience for us, and we had to work with council to plan and organise the night, as well as local community groups and contractors. Activities like this allows the youth councillors to be able to further develop their communication skills, teamwork, leadership and decision-making skills. And another drought relief movie night is planned in January for Corowa. A big project we've been working on throughout the year is our community piano project. It's an initiative of the Youth Council, and it's concerned with the issues of inclusion and acceptance of young people. We hope this is a catalyst for people to see each other, make conversation and come together without any prejudice. It is seeing the group work with local businesses and the community to secure the piano. It is currently being painted by 8 Year 10 girls at Corowa High School who are working with a local Indigenous artist, Iris Troughton. The piano is expected to be finished by the end of the year and released into the community as a street piano in early next year, which will include a launch. At the moment we are seeking local businesses' expressions of interest to adopt the piano and become our piano partner. We have also agreed to purchase an outdoor ping pong table. It is planned that we will work with young people to paint the table to create a sense of ownership. We propose that the ping pong table will be located at Low Square in Howland. Another initiative is the boomerang bags, and Caitlin Moyer will speak to us about what we've been doing through boomerang bags.
So I'm Youth Councillor Caitlin Moyer, and I can't exactly remember when, but Sally Hughes has approached us at one of our Youth Council ordinary meetings with the idea of us assisting her in a colouring competition. This competition will be run early next year and will involve a lot of local primary schools. A separate section of the competition will run at the local high school and be based on multimedia skills. So basically what we're doing is running two separate competitions just based on different age groups and different skill sets. So we've got primary schools as well art competitions, and at the high schools we're doing multimedia competitions, so like computer SketchUp designs on the computers and stuff like that, which we're all pretty technologically advanced in our early years. This will help promote Boomerang bags and spread their message for sustainability and recycling.
And our next, another project we're very passionate about is the inclusion of a soccer field and a team, and Youth Councillor Noah Little will speak about that.
Thank you, Mayor, councillors and staff. So we've been looking into a soccer group in Corowa that is social, that is moving towards being involving members of the community. At this stage we've contacted the school and looking into using their oval, and they have agreed on the condition of full application being put through. At this stage we have put forward the idea, and we have seemed to hear quite a bit of interest back, which is great. So at this stage we estimate there'll be around 50 people potentially interested in the community. We have someone that's interested in coaching and is offering to be involved, and we also have some people interested in logistically making this happen. So we are aiming to, with the support of council, get this started potentially partway through next year, potentially April 2019, and we feel like this will be a great opportunity. I'm really passionate about it, and I feel like this will add something to our community.
Thanks, Noah. Next year, the Blacktown City Council will be hosting the NSW Youth Council Conference in September. We believe this will be an amazing opportunity for the Youth Council to network with other youth people across NSW, hear with exciting and high-profile speakers, and share our achievements. Also, in the early stages of next year, we will be looking forward to planning an event and activities for Youth Week 2019. Youth Week is being planned to run from the 10th to the 18th of April 2019. And we have two recommendations for Council. First recommendation is that Federation Youth Council is endorsed to work with Council to conduct public consultation regarding the placement of the ping pong table at Low Square in Howlong. And we recommend that the Federation Youth Council continue to investigate the option for a soccer field on Council's behalf. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dylan. Councillors, questions? Councillor Meagles.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, well done. Good presentation. Thank you very much. Probably a question for Noah. The soccer field, I think it can only enhance the opportunities for our young people and fully support the opportunity. What were you seeking from council in support of that project?
Yeah,
if you had specifics.
so at this stage it looks like it would potentially be able to run without any changes. In the long term, the ground where the soccer would be played at the high school may need some work, but at this stage it probably is not necessary for the group to start at the social level. It's probably more support. At some stage we may need some funding for equipment, but that may come through the Youth Council's existing funding. And the other thought is there is some cost like insurance that may be able to be supported.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment, I think at a workshop or something, Council supported the investigation of an area, whether it be probably with one of the existing fields, because we have a lot of existing open space, and hopefully we can find some space for a soccer field, which would be tremendous. So congratulations, great project.
Councillors, Councillor Longley.
Dylan, thanks very much for selecting Low Square for your initial ping pong project. Can you explain to me what an outdoor ping pong table is?
So we've looked into, through a company that makes outdoor ping pong tables, so it's just, it'll be like a big metal board, and it'll have a metal board running across the top as well, and there'll be balls and paddles available for kids to play with, and they paint it so it created a sense of ownership so that they wouldn't vandalise or hopefully, yeah.
Vans, hopefully.
Councillor Longley, I have also seen these tables made out of concrete as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, probably the
Great,
concrete.
great idea. Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could give us an update on your piano project. So you've only secured one piano so far. I've been trying to secure a piano from a whaler for you, but it's been a bit of an issue. I know you had two off it and they weren't quite right, but there's another one pending, so hopefully it will come to fruition for you. Is there any other update with that? Do you need more?
Well, yes, we'd like more. But, yeah, no, the piano's just been finished up at Cora High School, and that should be out early next year on the street. And we're just waiting for local businesses to submit expressions.
So would you envisage that you'd like one in every community? Is that what
well, that was the ultimate original plan, that we had pianos throughout the Shire, council, yeah.
Work in progress.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of really generous offers of donations, but it comes to assessing the suitability of them. That's been a bit of a challenge. Yeah.
We'll work on it.
More questions, councillors? We can't let them off too easy. Councillor Watson.
Yeah, firstly, I'd just like to congratulate the Youth Council on the way they've progressed and through Embridge and the staff, because it was a new concept that was to be grasped, and I think you guys have really taken it, ran with it, and the development that has come through, I think we'll all be taking a bit of a leaf out of your public speaking book and the way that you've handled it. So congratulations for that. Just on the other one, with the piano, I didn't read some of your earlier minutes where the weight of the piano was the problem, to move it around and that sort of thing. Has that been resolved, and how are you going to relocate it? Are you looking for someone to design a...
So we've come into contact with the freight company, and hopefully we've located it to Corowa, which is at Cora High School now, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue if the piano was going to go to Corowa. Otherwise, it would be staying in that. Once we put it in down the street or somewhere, it will basically be staying there, and it will have little wheels on the base, so it can be moved into a shop at the night time and locked up.
Thanks, Tom. Any further questions, councillors? If not, there is a recommendation there to move. Would someone like to move the first recommendation? Please move by Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Thomas. All in favour? Against, carried. The second one there is that the council, that Federation Youth Council is endorsed to work with the council to connect community and consultation, including discussions with Low Square Management Committee regarding the placement of ping pong table at Low Square Howling. Can I have a move for that recommendation? Move, of course, Councillor Longley, seconded by Councillor Meagle. All in favour? Against, carried. And yeah, I'd too like to congratulate you, Mr Mayor, and other councillors. It's been an amazing journey for you guys. From the start till now, you've done some fantastic work. So congratulations, and look forward to 2019 for the Youth Council. Councillor Watcher.
There was one other thing I did note, and I forgot to mention, Dylan, the conference at Blacktown for the Youth Council. Are we sending some youth councillors? Is that? Yeah. It's a domed place up there, and if you need a chaperone, too late.
Not you and the man.
Someone experienced.
Yeah, you've got to know that after
and just a brief on that mentor program. Has that got up and running? Has it been successful as a council has adopted that for you guys, or?
As councillors mentor youth council?
Yes.
We haven't really looked into that at this stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've basically coming into contact with councillors at the steering committee meetings. But yeah, that would be probably one thing we'd like to do, is have mentors, and just an easy way to contact councillors. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure that all the councillors will be very keen to see that happen. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. No, thank you. Well done. All right. So we're back at... Yes, moved by councillor Longmire. We have a break, seconded by councillor Law. All in favour? Against? Not carried. We're going to have a break, cup of coffee if you'd like, Jane. And coffee in it.